Listen up, Vegas. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse.
Welcome to the Slaughterhouse. I'm your host, Zazel Phoenix, and with me today from Toykennections is Ken Poe, and our very special guest, the Kiwi toy collector in Japan, Phil from Treasures for Trigger.
Nice to be here, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, it's good to have you here.
I'm a mix of excitement and nerves. This is a big moment for me, so thanks for having me on.
That's all good, mate. Look, I'm a big fan of your channel. I particularly like to see when you get your action figure hauls and your experiences from collecting in Japan. So, give us a quick rundown, Phil, on your channel and what you do there.
Yeah, so I started the channel about 7 or 8 months ago. Basically the main thing that I've been doing with my videos so far has been basically unboxing deliveries that I get in the post. So I live a wee way out of the big cities, so access to vintage toy shops and stuff is a bit far for me. So I get a lot of things posted to me. So my videos are about me sort of gushing over my deliveries, showing them to the audience. I've also got a few videos there as well of a few trips around Japan. So it's not just toy collecting things. It's bits and pieces about my experience in Japan so far. So yeah, hopefully there's something for everyone. I'm by no means a toy expert. I'm sort of learning as I go. I sort of started a couple of years ago when sort of COVID started. And I sort of stuck at home twiddling my thumbs. And I sort of started looking into doing something, and this is what I ended up doing. So yeah, it's been real fun so far, and yeah.
Well, it definitely looks like you're having fun. Particularly, I like you add little graphics and stuff to your videos.
Oh, yeah.
That sort of they're a little bit wacky, a little bit zany. I love the excitement around.
Yeah, I have to thank my wife. Yeah, my wife is sort of a bit more up to speed with the technology side of things, so she sort of showed me the ropes of adding those little wee animations and things, and I've got the grips to it now, and so I'm doing it all myself now. So yeah, I'm a big boy in putting the videos together all on my own. Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so Phil, you've gone a bit blurry for me now. Is it just on my side, Ken, or can you? Oh no, it's cleared up now.
I was gonna say he went blurry for about 10 seconds, and then
right.
I think that's just something we'll have to struggle through.
Yeah, I'm on a temporary Wi-Fi connection, so we've only just recently moved, and we haven't got all of our facilities set up 100%. So yeah, if I start to look a bit fuzzy, it's because of our current temporary status.
You're loud and clear, though. That's okay.
Yeah. My setup is not what I would consider professional level.
Right.
It's literally just running off the Wi-Fi myself. So there are times where I'll just freeze, and Ken will say, you've gone a bit frozen there, but we fake our way through it. But I'm loving the setup you've got behind you there. Is that some of the collection you've picked up while you're over in Japan, or is that stuff you bought from home?
I'm glad Ken's on the show today, because I hope he appreciates some of the got a lot of Transformers.
I was gonna say
in the background there.
I'll bring it up so I can see the full screen.
Okay.
There we are.
Yeah, so I've got a few bits and pieces here. This is probably one of my favorites here, the 6-shot, which is a vintage boxed figure, but that was one of my first ones. I've got a few loose ones here as well. So yeah, as I said, we're sort of in the middle of moving at the moment, and the Transformers by chance were the first toys that I moved to the new place. So a lot of my wrestling figures and stuff are still actually in the old place. So at the moment it's looking like I'm a Transformer nut. But yeah, I like various lines. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with being a Transformers nut. It's all good. It's all good.
No.
I put it out there.
Yeah.
Go nuts.
Yeah. Japan is such an awesome place to be if you are into Transformers, because there's just so much. It's mind-boggling how much is out there, and once you start looking, it's pretty overwhelming with what sort of things you can get over here.
For sure.
Is it fairly affordable, the Transformers over there?
It seems to be. Yeah, it depends what you're after. If you just go for the loose figures, it is comparatively to New Zealand, because New Zealand's bloody expensive, because I guess our access and the amount over there is not so high. But yeah, it ranges a lot. I mean, for the boxed vintage Transformers, it is pretty expensive. And there are hardcore collectors over here as well, so they get snapped up.
Oh, I'm sure there would be,
yeah. But it's amazing, the Transformers here for sure.
So I do know that you do have a collection waiting for you at home. You often talk about picking up doubles or figures that you've already got but maybe in better condition that you've just picked up. So what's the goal then? You're just going to continue collecting in Japan, and then hopefully one day when you get back to New Zealand, you'll bring it over there, or you're going to bring your collection from New Zealand over to you? Which way are you thinking of going?
I've got no idea, mate.
Yeah.
I seriously don't know what's going on. I've sort of a bit of a background. This is my third stint living in Japan, so I've kind of yo-yoed between the two countries a lot. And the latest stint coming over here, we were just coming over here for our daughter's education, and put her into some Japanese-speaking learning environment for a couple of years. A few sort of things have happened, and we're probably going to be here for a bit more of a longer term now. So, it's really weird. The New Zealand collection, when I started collecting 2 years ago, I was in Japan, and I just caught the bug so much that I couldn't help but look online at the New Zealand selling sites as well. So I bought a whole heap of stuff and had it all delivered to my parents' place in New Zealand. So I've literally got hundreds of packages unopened in New Zealand.
Right.
I've never actually physically held or seen.
Right. So you've got a collection waiting for you that you haven't even dived into yet.
No. So it's going to be like the biggest Christmas ever when I go back and unopen all of that stuff. I think I freaked my parents out a bit in terms of how much was being delivered. They thought something had gone wrong with me. I have doubled up a lot of things that I've got in both countries. But we'll figure it out at some point. Yeah.
Right. That's a later problem.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So Ken, should we put him on the spot and ask him what scale he thinks Transformers is?
Yeah. What scale are those?
What scale aren't they?
That's right. That's the real answer.
You should check the answer when Tony Roberts from Analog Toys asked me this on the last episode. And he looked at me and goes, "What scale are those?" And I kind of look at the Transformers behind me. I'm like, I don't know. I just buy them.
Yeah. I kind of like the jumbled up scale of the Transformers too. It's sort of I like how it's not all the same. It makes it look interesting on the display shelf anyway. So
it never really occurred to me.
The modern comics make it a little. Try to make more sense out of it. I mean, yes, there's still the compact thing when Soundwave has to go into a tape deck mode. You still have the mass shifting. But I think the modern comics from IDW try to establish it better. But when you've had decade after decade of the toy and the cartoon not making sense scale-wise, when you're playing catch-up at that point, you know.
Well, how do they establish it? What's the answer that they're giving?
They're just more consistent with how much bigger certain characters are than humans, and how much bigger this robot is than that robot.
Oh, righto, gotcha.
I still haven't answered the scale. It just looks more consistent on the pages of the comic. I don't actually know what scale they are. So
when I look back at the Marvel Comics run, those first couple of issues, you see that they're drawing them literally how the toys look. So Ironhide is that weird, jumbled up. What would you even call that robot?
A windshield.
Windshield
space.
Yeah. So basically, that's how he looks like in the Marvel comics. Bumblebee's got his faceplate. I think must be a couple of issues in before they switch it up to make it look a little bit more like the cartoon. But what a disappointing toy that was. Like, I know it has some history to it where it wasn't meant to be like its own robot and it was supposed to be a piloted machine, but still, yeah, not
if you check
not one
mine
that
out, you can get a third-party head for it to make it look more like the cartoon, but still, yeah,
it does look weird though.
It does.
But I'm just nitpicking. Like it's decades old now. It doesn't matter now at this point, right? There are some much better alternatives now. But as a kid, that was when I saw it at a toy store. I looked at the back of the box and I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not getting this one." Jazz looked pretty good. Prowl looked pretty good. Those ones looked pretty much.
All the Datsuns looked really good.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. Have you got a favorite, Phil?
Transformer wise?
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Soundwave. He's always been my favorite, and I love the Cassetrons. I had a lot of those when I was a kid. So yeah, I didn't have many. I never had like Optimus Prime or any of the bigger figures, but I definitely remember having a lot of the Cassetrons. And Soundwave is just such a classic character, and I've managed to pick up a Soundwave over here. It's an encore series. It's a reissue series, so it's not an original. But it looks exactly like the original release. So
literally the only difference is you look on the back and it says "Made in China" instead of "Made in Japan." That's literally the only difference.
Oh right, okay.
I always tell people, right, like it doesn't matter if you like it, you like it. You know, the only issue with those encore ones in any reissue is they don't put the date it was made. They put the original date that it was in the mold. Right?
Yeah.
So I had to correct a few people. I'm like, no, it says "Made in China," even if it says 1984. 1984 was probably not only the year it was made, it might have been the copyright date too, and they had to keep that on there.
Right.
Well, the
that's a possibility. Series is great. Yeah.
They haven't really released a lot of the reissues of late. At least I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them in stores for a while. So I guess what was the last one they did?
Walmart would have done a few guys like Soundwave was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They would have done the mini cars like Bumblebee and them back in 2009.
Oh yeah.
Astro Train came out sometime after that, and I think Starscream had a run on the shelves. Oh, Blaster would have been 2020, 2021.
Okay, cool. Well, I never saw it here. The re-release of Blaster. I think the last one I actually saw, it's going back now, would have been Perceptor or maybe Cup. One of those two.
Those would have been Japanese reissues, though. Those would have been either Encore or something. They wouldn't have been. I don't think they would have been at specialty shops. They wouldn't have been at your big box stores.
Oh well, those are the ones I remember. So yeah, I don't remember where I saw them. I just remember seeing them, the boxes of them. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's going back a while now, though. Yeah, but I haven't really collected Transformers for a little while. I've been tempted on a few, particularly the stuff that's coming out now. But yeah, I don't have the space anymore, so I can't commit to it. And I know once I start, I'll just want a couple. But then once I start, like the Masters of the Universe stuff I've got going on now, I'll just want a couple at first, and then they'll just explode, and I'll have too many.
And I'll be shipping you all those again as well.
Yeah. I'll be hitting you up and saying, "How many Transformers you got?"
Well, that's the thing. There's a bunch in the garage right now, if you don't mind reissues. But the thing is, I don't want to venture you down that rabbit hole because I've been responsible for getting a few friends down a few rabbit holes before, and it's a great feeling, but it's also not a great feeling.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not complaining about the Masters of the Universe stuff. That stuff looks great. I just don't think I can. And those are next to my bed. That's how much little space I have. Those are next to my bed on my bed head. Or actually, I've moved them to the side table now. And everything else is sort of over just to the side there with my Slaughterhouse stuff. But yeah, Phil, you've gotten into the Hasbros, the wrestling WWF Hasbros.
Big time, yeah. To be honest, that's been the highlight. I think actually, ironically, being in Japan of all places, that's been the highlight of my collecting experience. To be honest, the last couple of years, because I didn't have them really as a kid, because they came out sort of early 90s, I think, and I'd sort of outgrown basically collecting toys. So I had the LJ, like we had huge amounts of LJN figures, me and my younger brother growing up, and we spent hours and hours just bashing them up and having great times with the LJNs, but not the Hasbros. So that's been an awesome discovery, the Hasbros for me over here. And there's a lot of them over here too. Again, a lot more than are available in New Zealand. So I've really enjoyed sort of collecting those, and I've got a few sort of big hauls of them and individual figures as well. So yeah, it's been really fun collecting them. So yeah.
Have you got a personal favorite?
While we're here, so sorry, go ahead.
Personal favorites. Well, that's a good question. The last lot that I got the Series 1 Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
I was really happy to get him. So yeah, a few people told me that was one that I needed to get, and they were right. It's just such an iconic looking figure. And the Macho Man that is penciled into my brain from watching it as a kid. So I'm really happy to get him. And I've got a carded, because I'm from New Zealand, obviously, I've got a carded Bushwhackers tag team. So really stoked to have the Bushwhackers on card. So yeah, they've probably been a couple of my highlights so far.
So did you keep watching wrestling long past the 80s? Like what was your era of wrestling, or eras?
My era of wrestling, I would say, is probably 86 to 87 up until about 92, I would say. So kind of a 5-year period. I was a WWF junkie basically. But I think I got to a point when the word got around that it was scripted and it wasn't real as such. So I think as a 12 or 13-year-old, I sort of got turned off it a little bit. And by that point, some of the major, characters were sort of starting to end their careers as well. So my parents were very strict. Both of my parents were high school teachers, and they kind of banned us from watching it for quite a period of time because of the violence. So I had a sort of an interesting period of loving the WWF, but not being able to watch long periods of it.
So did you get to watch like the Attitude Era there from like 97 to 01? Did you get to catch that at all?
No, to be honest, I didn't follow it at all during that period. Yeah, so collecting these Hasbros, I've sort of, each figure that I've picked up, I've sort of gone onto Wikipedia and YouTube and looked back at their fights, and it's been really cool, sort of refreshing my memory of those wrestlers. So
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at a toy show yesterday, and they had some Hasbros there, and I picked up one. There was Jake the Snake. I saw that one there. That was a tempting one. I didn't buy it, but I picked up one, and I was like, this looks familiar, and I was like, it looks like Shawn Michaels. It looks like the Heartbreak Kid, but it doesn't look like the Heartbreak Kid. And it was I looked it up, and it was when he was in the Rockers.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you've ever seen that one, it just doesn't really quite look like Shawn Michaels. It just sort of kind of looks like Shawn Michaels. Like,
I had that one as a kid. So yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's the one with the back spring and then he jumps forward.
Possibly. I don't know. I didn't fumble around with them. I picked up a few of them. I picked up when I was a kid. I picked up a few of them, but only the ones that were sculpted in a certain way. So I didn't really like the ones that you would push down and they would spring out like a Ram Man situation. I just felt like they weren't really good looking on a shelf. If they had their legs sculpted too close together, you know how some of them do, like without separated legs. So,
like beefcake here.
Yeah. So Right. So those ones, I mean, they look cool, but I couldn't see myself using them like an action figure because I just, their legs were too close together. They didn't really display well. So I would go with people like Big Boss Man. I think Ultimate Warrior. I think I had him. Like I only had a couple of them, and then even then they were really. I sort of played with them at the same time as playing with Ninja Turtles because they sort of scaled okay. So I would have some WWF wrestlers. I would have some Ninja Turtles. I probably incorporated the Toxic Crusaders in on that sort of same level. But yeah, I didn't really buy a lot of them. And even then, I still don't think I found a Sergeant Slaughter. It's just even those ones. I never saw any LJNs as a kid. Never saw them.
Really?
So yeah. I mean, I'm sure they were around, but I don't remember ever seeing them. In fact, where I was growing up in Australia, I didn't see any wrestling on TV at all. So the only wrestling I ever saw was whatever my friend had recorded on his VHS. So I didn't watch anything in order. It was always like, hey, check out this Royal Rumble or check out this match with, I think the Mountie was one that he was super impressed with. But yeah, nothing really on TV. But I do remember the Royal Rumble where one of the bushwhackers comes in and then instantly gets thrown over the ropes and then walked right back out again.
Bushwhacker Luke 4 seconds record. I'm not sure if that record. I think it got beat, but for many years it stood as the 4 second record.
Wow!
Right. Well,
when he got thrown out, he still kept doing this and just went.
Yeah. He walks in and walks out with the same level of confidence. It was like he wasn't even in there at all.
Yeah. I remember when the Bushwhackers sort of hit the scene. It was like obviously massive news in New Zealand that these Kiwis were going to be joining the WWF, because I guess New Zealanders, we have sort of small country syndrome, and whenever something like this happens on an international scale, we go a bit nuts for it. And coincidentally, when the Bushwhackers just were arriving onto the WWF scene, it was when our parents decided to stop us watching the wrestling. So it was so frustrating because the build up to it was advertised on TV every day that this Kiwi tag team were going to be joining the WWF. And so my brother and I had seen little clips of them on commercials. And then my brother discovered that the wrestling was on, I think it was AM radio at the time. So the TV stations you could listen to on the radio. So I distinctly remember listening to the Bushwhackers' first WWF fight on the radio with a mix of excitement and real bloody frustration that we couldn't actually watch it.
Well, part of the 80s wrestling in particular is the flamboyancy of it. So you really it's a visual thing more than it is an audio thing in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Like the color commentators and whoever's on the mic, they do a great job of explaining what's going on, but you still need the visuals, I think, for a full experience. But at least you didn't miss out entirely.
You caught some big stuff.
Oh, my parents came around eventually. Yeah. I think by the time SummerSlam '88 came around, they were back on page with us for watching it. So I have a distinct memory again of watching SummerSlam '88, which had an amazing card of fights, and I think
a big main event.
Huge main event. Yeah, it also has the Warriors intercontinental fight with Honky Tonk.
Oh that's right.
Yeah, that's an absolute classic. Yeah,
it is.
I think Zazel, New Zealand was similar. Like we didn't have a lot of wrestling on the TV, and those sort of big four events, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survival Series, you could only get those from the video store. And, you'd have to probably wait a couple of months until after it was actually done in the States, until it was available at the video stores. And then,
that's how I watched a lot of them.
Yeah, and then when they were available, it was the hottest ticket around, so it was almost impossible to get them available at the video store as well.
That's right.
But I've got an older brother who's about 10 years older than me, and so he would have been about 18 or 19 at the time of SummerSlam '88, and he managed to get a pirated copy of SummerSlam '88. So we had it before anyone else, before it was available at the video store. And so, word got around in our neighborhood that we had a pirated copy. And so my brother and I, we became kings of the neighborhood for a day because everyone wanted to come around to our place and watch SummerSlam '88. So, we had about sort of 12 or 13 kids pile into our bedroom, and we watched this really rough pirated copy. It was not great quality, but it was a.
You should have charged admission. Well, yeah, I mean I never watched a weekly schedule or anything monthly. It was always whatever my friend had available. So he had a back catalog of stuff, which is where I first saw Sergeant Slaughter wrestling, and then after that it was we'd go and check him out in the video store, whatever they had. And like you said, if it was just out, you were very lucky if you were able to get a copy. Or you just have to wait until you put your name down, I guess, as well, and hope they give you a call and hope you're not too far down the list. But I would have people come up and say, because I used to play it on when I was in, I think it was year 7. I used to play it on the Game Boy. Which I thought was a pretty good game. And people would come up and say, "What are you playing?" I'd say, "I'm playing the wrestling," and they'll go, "It's fake." It's like, oh, well,
so what?
Thanks. And cool. Yeah. It's like it's scripted. You know who's going to win. I said, "Well, I don't know until I'm watching it." They don't tell you before the fight who's going to win. You figure it out later. Yeah, but I was often people would say, even now, I see people on Facebook falsely claim that the Bushwhackers were Australian. And having already stolen a lot of Australia has already stolen a lot of Kiwi talent. It's like, that makes sense. Yeah, we would claim them as ours too.
The accents are subtle, right? Like you guys can tell the difference, right?
I can tell the difference between mine and Phil's accent. I could tell if I was just listening to Phil talk that he was from New Zealand.
Yeah, I can tell when I hear them back to back. But like, I don't want to guess. You know what I mean? Like, if I think somebody's from New Zealand, I don't want to guess in case I get it wrong, because it's for me, it's just close enough that I don't want to get it wrong, right?
Well, it's a bit like Canadian and American, right? For me, that's a bit harder to differentiate.
Yeah. See, for me, I can tell that one, right? And I just take a guess right away.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it also depends on your relation with the other country. Yeah. New Zealand, we have, we hear a lot of stuff from New Zealand, mostly because we poach all their talent. And so we do hear, I think it was a while before I figured out that Crowded House weren't Australian.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was a long time before I figured that out. I was like, the great Aussie band, Split Ends, Full House. I was like, no, they're from New Zealand. I was like, Foot Rot Flats. Yeah. That comic strip and that cartoon took me a while to figure out that wasn't Australian either.
Oh, really? Oh, man. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, no one was actively telling me that they were New Zealand. I was like, okay, well, cool. Now I know. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
All right, yeah. It's so funny. Like, I'm listening to you guys' wrestling stories because I've been curious what it's been like overseas, because in Canada, we could always kind of poach the U.S. programming very easily, but you had to Canadianize the content. I was looking it up here because I remember WWF Superstars was their weekly show, but here it was called Maple Leaf Wrestling. So they just air the same show, but they'd be like, "Welcome to Maple Leaf Wrestling." They'd overdub the intro and the logo, and then Wrestling Challenge. I'm looking it up here on my computer screen. I didn't know it was called Wrestling Challenge until just now, because WWF in Canada called it Cavalcade. So as far as I'm concerned, I grew up with Maple Leaf Wrestling and Cavalcade, but I saw it every week, and I'm watching the same episodes, right?
Yeah.
Now, the pay-per-views, I have to go to the VHS store, and rent them up until kind of the mid '90s. Then I could get the pay-per-views a bit more often, right? And now you just get WWE Network if you want to watch the pay-per-views, because people are critical of today's product, and to be honest, I am too, right?
Right.
But yeah, that whole era, right? The thing that I always said about that era is every move mattered. And sorry, I'm chewing on an anti-cough candy, so if I sound like I'm
medicate
choking on
yourself,
something,
Ken. Yeah.
keep myself nice and medicated, right? Oh, I need it because I've always got all this energy when we talk about wrestling or Transformers or GI Joe or He-Man or anything.
Or anything in particular, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I love it.
That era, like every body slam mattered, every entrance mattered. You know, there was hardly a match where you could just be like, okay, this is a palate cleanser, see you later. Because even the palate cleanser matches, the gimmicks were pretty cool. You know?
Yeah.
So that's how I felt about it, right? So I don't know, like the tag teams were a big deal back then. Like if you won the tag team title, it was a big deal. It wasn't a throwaway thing. The Intercontinental title was kind of telling you who the next big star was, right? Phil, you just mentioned Ultimate Warrior in the SummerSlam event.
Yeah.
Right? That elevated him to another level. It did the same for Macho Man, right? It did the same for Bret Hart, then Shawn Michaels, and so on and so forth, right? So, yeah.
Well, as far as tag teams were concerned, Legion of Doom just looked awesome. Obviously inspired by, I thought that they were inspired by Mad Max and stuff. And then you look at, because they were called the Road Warriors first.
In WCW, in WCW NWA, they were called the Road Warriors.
That's what they're known as in Japan. They're huge in Japan. I think they must have spent a bit of time over here. But yeah, I think they're known as the Road Warriors in Japan as well.
Right. So my guess is that they took that off of Mad Max, the Road Warrior. But I guess kind of also, who's that other tag team with they wear the Demolition. Yeah, they kind of look like something out of Mad Max too. But then I saw a picture of, what is it? Is it Beast Warrior? Or it looked like something out of that as well.
Well, I think they're supposed to be like Kiss, right? The rock band Kiss, kind of.
Oh, with the face paint, yeah. But I'm talking about when they had their full helmet on, yeah. But yeah, the face paint kind of did too. But the thing about those tag team partners is that they've got the full theatrics around it. You know, the hardcore tag teamers, and then you've got the rockers that were a little bit more. They were definitely more energetic. Not even a little bit. They were like super energetic. I'm trying to think what else in that time frame that we had as far as tag teams. Oh, the Heart Foundation. All right, that's a little bit later, but
Heart Foundation, yeah.
It was kind of around the same time. I think they got to the main event scene later, but I think they'd been around at the same time. But then they kind of meandered for a bit, and I think they finally,
The British Bulldogs were fantastic as well. They were amazing. Yeah, the tag team moves that they could do.
Right.
Yeah, and then there was also like the Killer Bees, Strike Force. So there were some of those teams as well. Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus Beefcake were a team for a while. Volkov and the Sheik. Just goes on and on, right?
Yeah.
Right, but some of those are like just ones that were singles and then teamed up. But you got like the Road Warriors, they were a tag team. You know, those guys were together. You wouldn't see them wrestling very often, if at all. I don't remember seeing any matches where they were single wrestlers, but I guess the Bulldogs, that was able to, Davey Boy Smith, he was able to go singles. And then you've obviously got Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, because I don't see a lot of the Anvil as much as Bret Hart in the singles. But,
there's only a handful of tag teams out there that both guys are like almost equally successful. Like you get later on, like the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff. You can kind of argue that they're kind of equally successful. Edge and Christian, although they were singles, then they made a tag team. They never had a tag team name, but they did the unified gear and like same type of hair. Edge is a little more successful, but Christian is still a Hall of Fame caliber guy, so you can't really say one more than the other. So But yeah, you talk about the Road Warriors. They were together for a long time. That's why a lot of people, as much as I want to say the Hart Foundation are the best tag team of all time, a lot of people will say that the Road Warriors were together longer, had more titles, right? So all I can say is that I like the Hart Foundation more during their peak, when they were peaking at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
But when they disbanded, they disbanded. The Road Warriors went for another 10 years, right?
Yeah. And they just visually look great.
They did.
Just the presence they had. Yeah. But were any as higher praised, or I guess the anticipation of, was anything more anticipated than the superpowers?
Oh, the Mega Powers? The Mega Powers?
Mega Powers.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mega Powers. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, the build up for that was just incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When Hulk Hogan Macho Man teamed up, yeah, unbelievable.
Were they going to shake hands? Weren't they going to shake hands? The longest build up to shaking hands.
Yeah, and the whole drama with Miss Elizabeth as well.
Yeah.
What was that?
The whole drama with Miss Elizabeth as well.
Like,
yeah.
When they split, the whole lust in his eyes.
Hogan wanting a piece of her.
Right? Yeah. He's hitting on her. Yeah.
Oh man! All right, Phil. I've got some photos that you've given to me. Let's take a look through those.
Yeah.
So let's start. Well, I mean, I've got it. This one's coming up first.
Yeah. So I thought, Ken, you might be interested in this. Your belt's fantastic, but this is from a shopping mall in sort of West Tokyo. It's a store which is dedicated completely to wrestling figures and merchandise. And so, yeah, this is in the shop window. Some kind of wrestling belt with barbed wire wrapped around it. So,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think if I was going to get a belt, that's the one that I want to get, I think.
Okay.
Well, that's a weapon in on itself.
Yeah. Imagine
it's a belt and a foreign object. All right, I'll move on to the next slide. Check out this lot. Look at that baseball bat.
Yeah.
The baseball bat. You've got the sort of graters on the bottom.
The cheese graters at the bottom there. Wow.
The cheese graters, and then so obviously that's sort of hardcore. I don't know what do you. I guess you have that in the States as well, with all the blood and guts showing. But it's obviously a big thing in Japan as well.
Yeah,
hardcore wrestling. Yeah. Sort of underground stuff.
Well, you often hear a lot of wrestlers talk about how they go and do a stint over in Japan. So I guess sometimes I'll even go over there and do that before making it big over here. Not over here, not here. No, we've made it big over here, but in America, I can't even think of one Australian wrestler. That's not good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you: are there any wrestlers which have come out of Aussie?
Ken will look it up for us.
Apart from the Bushwhackers.
Greatest Australian wrestlers? Well, there are, but some of them are like the modern guys right now, like Buddy Murphy, who's around right now, Nia Jax right now, Peyton Royce. These are more modern stars.
What about when the Warrior was the Dingo Warrior? Where was he coming from? Where did they bill him from then?
Probably, I don't know, but it wasn't parts unknown. Let's put it that way.
Parts unknown, no.
Yeah,
he was known as the Dingo Warrior.
Yeah. The Ultimate Warrior was the Dingo Warrior. Yeah.
It's because they weren't sure what to call him, because he came to the WWF as they didn't know what to call him, because he was the Dingo Warrior, but then they had the Road Warriors, and then in WCCW, Kerry Von Erich was known as the Modern Day Warrior. So they're I think they were saying on a DVD that Vince or somebody was saying, he's no Dingo Warrior, he's the Ultimate Warrior, and then he's the Ultimate Warrior. He was just using it as a descriptor. He didn't mean it as a name, right?
Right.
It just kind of worked out. They're like, let's go with it, right? So
So the only one I can see back in those days was a character called Outback Jack, who debuted in 1986. But he looks a little bit like Crocodile Dundee, but you would have thought that they would have really capitalized on the popularity of Crocodile Dundee back then.
Yeah.
I guess not a lot of Aussie wrestlers. All
right. Oh well.
All right. So here's a picture Phil's provided, Ken, that you might have some interest in. I know when I saw it, I thought it was pretty cool. I've cropped it I've cropped it a couple of times, so we can take a look at some closer images in a second. But where was this, Phil?
Yeah, this is actually in the same shopping arcade as the wrestling figure store, so it's just around the corner. And again, it's just a store dedicated to Transformers. So you've got again all of the vintage box stuff. It has more modern figures inside as well, but yeah, just so much eye candy. I sort of stood there staring at that shop window for a good 10 to 15 minutes, drooling over.
This is impressive.
Yes, I see some Predacons there, Combaticons.
I was going to say it's a Combaticon gift set.
Yeah.
Who's? Oh yeah, I see. What's on top of that on the right-hand side? What are those smaller boxes? I can't quite make those ones out.
Are they the deluxe Insecticons, Phil?
Are they the Terracons? The
weird looking. The 87 Terracon?
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think so.
I can't tell. I was thinking the deluxe Insecticons, but anyway.
I can see Scourge, one of the sweeps up there.
Yeah.
I'll move up to this level.
Oh, Countdown.
Yeah.
You got Victory Leo. That looks great. And I think that's Star Saber on the side. So you've got that. That's cool. You got the separate boxes. Yeah.
So that's just a taste of what's inside the shop. So
are you much into the Japanese Transformer releases, Phil?
To be honest, I haven't really followed that stuff so much. Yeah, I'm basically a collector just based on nostalgia. So it's basically figures that I had or remember when I was younger. So a lot of people have asked me, "Oh, you should be going into this line and that line," being in Japan. So I think eventually I will sort of branch out a bit more and look at more of the
Star Saber and Victory Leo are nice figures if you can look at them up close, but it wasn't something I jumped into right away. Right, I had this for a couple of years. And at the time, because when I got back into collecting, there wasn't really a modern craze yet. It was a lot of vintage. So for me to buy a Star Saber, it wasn't like I was competing with trying to buy a HasLab Sky Striker that's technically retro vintage. But you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like, it's not like there was a ton of Marvel Legends available, and it's not like, there was Transformers War for Cybertron or G.I. Joe Classified to contend with. So when I wanted to go for a Star Saber, I just went for Star Saber. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So, But that's a pretty cool one. If you get a chance, have a look at the 10 rare G1 Transformers in list on my channel. That'll give you a little bit of insight into some of the Japanese Transformers, because you'll see that I have this Star Saber Victory Leo in the gift set where they pack them together. So I've got that and a few others. That'll give you a bit of a leg up as to when you go into the store next time. You might say, "Oh, I saw Ken talk about this," kind of thing.
Now, see, Ken calls it his top 10 list, but you'll soon find that that'll be his shopping list, and he wants you to go around picking these up.
Well, it's 10 figures that I own, so
Right.
But yes, it might end up being Phil's own shopping list if he gets unfortunately influenced by my over passionate voice, which isn't meant to be the voice of a used car salesman, but it comes out that way sometimes.
Oh man.
Anyway, cool.
I think Phil's entirely frozen.
We're jumping back and forth between Transformers and wrestling. I love it. Yeah, Phil's been frozen. He may have to log out and log back in.
Yeah,
that's okay. We'll kill time until he gets here. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to do that Attitude Era discussion.
No,
but that's okay. We can just keep going on here. It's no big deal. Because we've kind of meandered into the Transformers area anyway, which I don't mind. As you know.
Yeah. He'll whenever he's coming back.
See if we can get him back in.
We lost him. He'll be back, and in greater numbers.
Yes, he'll find his way. But that's really interesting to see what he's looking at the stores there. That there was a rocket ship base on the side that I said was Countdown. I had that in the past as well, and I've been debating whether I want to buy one again. But it's kind of big, and you've seen how packed my shelves are. In order to display it, something else has to go. So it's like, it's getting harder these days to be a collector.
Well, it is. It's when you're looking at things as well, not just the cost of stuff, but the space that you need now to be a modern era collector. It's no longer, just a couple of waves of stuff that you got to collect. It's now going on years, like Marvel Legends. That's years that's been in production. I mean, they've got a bunch of characters that they can choose from, but if you wanted to pick up Masters of the Universe, you've got a finite amount of characters. Classics had a lot of characters, but even then, you don't need every He-Man if you've got He-Man. You don't need every Skeletor if you've got a Skeletor. But now you've got, Marvel Legends is the bigger one. Transformers is huge. And they're bringing out they could bring out a character today, and they could name it whatever they want, and as long as it looks cool, then you'll want to pick it up. I did see the Bulkhead, the new Bulkhead, which I think he was from Animated, right? But he looks okay. I thought he looked pretty cool.
He seems like he fits with G1. That's what I looked when I looked at him. I'm like, this guy actually fits with G1. Like I have pretty mixed feelings about Animated. Like I was like, oh yay, new series, and I was like, nah. I never got into it. I bought a few, and then I was like, no, I don't want to do this series. Right? I got into Beast Wars. I was a few $100 in, and then said copped out.
I think Beast Wars was the last one that I really, really got into.
Good choice.
So Phil sent me a message saying he's just got connective issues and just give him a minute while he sorts that out. So that's cool.
Oh yeah, that's totally fine. We've got plenty to talk about on here, and hopefully he comes back soon.
Oh, here he is. He's back.
He's back. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Let's see what happens.
Sorry guys.
Here he is.
Welcome back.
I've had to switch to the mobile phone.
That's all good.
The temporary Wi-Fi just sort of crapped itself, so I'm back.
That's all right. Well, I was just saying that video that Ken was saying for you to check out is his top 10 list, but I think it'll end up being his shopping list. So keep an eye out for that. Welcome back.
All
right.
But yeah, I've been enjoying following your channel as well, Ken. I've seen quite a few of your videos as well. So yeah,
I appreciate that.
Got a lot of interesting stuff on it. Yeah,
okay, appreciate that. They got more stuff coming out every week, so hopefully to keep things nice and entertaining as I jump around between topics. I do find that since both of you guys have your own channels, I do find that it's really hit or miss what happens. Like I released that G.I. Joe tour at Toy Traders, and that one just overperformed way past my expectations. Like I think 200 of my subscribers came from just that video alone. And then like I did like a top 10 Batman graphic novels and a NECA Ninja Turtles villains video, both of which I was very, very proud of. It took me more time than that Toy Traders one. And both are sitting on like 70 or 80 views. And that G.I. Joe one is like, it's it'll probably be at 20,000 by the time this month is over. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what's going on here? Like I turned the camera on and I came up with some narration, but that's not even my own stuff, right? Like that's you can't pick and choose what's going to do well. But like I made that the channel largely for my collection. And I show somebody else's collection in diorama. Oh, people love clicking on that. I kind of laugh it off a little bit sometimes. My most popular videos were those ones.
I can't speak for Phil, but for me, I just make a video when I want to, and I do it because I think it's going to be fun. And if anyone wants to watch it, that's a bonus. I don't make content necessarily for anyone in particular. I just hope that if I upload it, someone will enjoy it, and if they do, that's great. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here. Yeah, I'm sitting here hanging out with a bunch of guys chatting toys, and that's fine with me too. If no one watches it, well, that's fine. I'm still having fun.
But we talked about that when we turned the cameras off last week, right? You guys were saying, make the content for yourself, right? Like there is no regret on my part for putting together a video of the top 10 Batman graphic novels, because I've had that list swimming in my head for like a decade, and I finally got it out. And I'm very proud of the fact I got it out. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, that's it. I spent all this time. And then I look and I'm like, people like the other stuff better. Whatever. You carry on, you make the next video, you go from there.
To bring it back to Phil's channel, part of the entertainment for me on Phil's is the excitement that he gets when he's opening up a box of figures and trying to figure out who each one is. Sometimes, Phil, it's really it's tempting for me when you're opening up a box of wrestling figures, for instance, right? And you're like, I'm not quite sure who this is. I'm like, I'm tempted before I finish the video to type in who it is. But then I was like, just hold off because I don't want to be that guy. I'll just wait. And then you will circle back around to it by the end of the video. You've done your homework and you've gone, I figured out who this guy is. And I was like, all right, I'm glad I wasn't a douchebag and just typed, well, actually, it's this character.
Well, yeah. People like to correct others, right? All the time.
Well, I just get excited because he's excited. Yeah. Phil gets excited when he opens up a new box of toys.
Yeah, I guess the excitement maybe gets to me and I sort of get a bit of a brain freeze. I'm like, I know who this character's name is, but it's not coming to the top of my head. And so I finish the video and go, shit, why don't I do a bit more research beforehand, and then I jump online, figure it all out, and then add an extra clip to the video at the end just so I don't look like a complete.
Well, it depends. If it's a minor blip, you can always pin a comment to the top of the feed and then put a timestamp that says, I misspoke at this time. Like I've done that a few times on mine because I get excited and then all of a sudden I misspeak the year or something, and then all of a sudden someone's in the comments like, you got the year wrong. I'm like, well, clearly I didn't mean to get the year wrong. And I'm sorry. That's all you got out of this 20-minute video is to correct me on, because I said 1992 instead of 1994 or something like that,
and it's such unimportant stuff in the grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't really matter in the years of things or the so long as you're having fun, it doesn't really matter. But the Phil, your collection isn't just limited to wrestling and Transformers. You've got a whole eclectic bunch of stuff that before you moved you had in cupboards and drawers and all over the place. So all sort of little wee nooks and crannies.
So I guess being in Japan, most of the apartments are fairly small, so you're pretty limited for space. So any little cupboard or side corner that you can find, I tend to use and keep the figures out of my wife's face, basically. So sort of hide things where you can. I think I've just collected I started 2 years ago and I've just gone so full steam into it. I've just collected so much in such a short period of time. I haven't really planned it out very well in terms of buying display shelves and things like that. So thankfully, the new place that we've just moved into is a lot bigger than where we were. So I'm sort of negotiating with my daughter if I can share her toy room with her, and we may have to draw a line down the middle of the room and have daddy's side and daughter's side of the toy room. So
what does she think of your collecting?
She's into the Ninja Turtles. She can name all the Ninja Turtles. She likes to play around with the party wagon. She's not such a big fan of G.I. Joe. No idea why.
That's weird.
Isn't really her thing, I guess. I think she just thinks I'm a big kid. Playing with my toys. So.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. It's good when you can include them in it. I remember when my kids were younger, they wanted to play, and I was collecting Vinyl Tech Transformers at the time,
Yep.
And the alternators, depending on which ones were available to me. The Vinyl Tech were the better quality ones, right?
Yes, they were die cast.
Yeah. Die cast ones, yeah. So when I first started collecting those, and those are not cheap, but the kids were so into them and so excited about them that I would let them play with them. You know, so the good part of that is that they got to learn who the characters were. They wanted to watch the cartoons, you know, because I never pushed any of my stuff onto them. I was never like, you have to watch this or you have to play with this. It was always like, oh, what have you got there? And I was like, oh, we'll check this out. And then if they wanted to play with it, I couldn't very well say, well, no, you can't. Nah, this is Dad's collectible, mate. You can't touch it. And so we would play with them, and through that, a lot of them got broken or scratched, or you know, just because of the nature of play. But you know, it was still, you know, it was an expensive habit having to collect them and then have them break. But the memories behind them were, you know, still fun and exciting. But I guess the worst part of introducing your kids to Vinyl Tech and alternators is having to continuously transform it for them, because those ones did not transform very easily. I think Grimlock and Wheeljack were some of the worst two to transform from car to robot. And because they were quite young, they couldn't quite figure it out. They could get it to a point, but they couldn't quite figure it out. And I would have to pull out the instructions to figure out some of them. It's like, how? I don't know. I couldn't get, and then even then, I couldn't quite get them to be completely like closed and transformed and all the bits all in. Sometimes they'd be like just a little bit off. Yeah, I don't miss them. I'm glad they broke. Get out of here.
I have that still with the War for Cybertron figures sometimes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they're not as bad as the Vinyl Tech ones, but still.
The stuff on the shelf now is good quality stuff that is easier to transform than those things. So they look great for display and they transform well. Whereas the G1 stuff, they look great on display. They usually transform very easily, but then you know you have limited articulation and a little bit of a sacrifice as far as that's concerned. But yeah, it's all good stuff.
Innocence.
Phil, have you got anything? Have you got anything on your radar that you're looking to pick up? Anything in the pipeline that you want to try and find as far as collecting is concerned?
I'm big on. I'd say my favorite line is actually Dino Riders. So I love that Sarge Dino Rider that you showed on the previous chat.
On the Mammoth, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm always on the lookout for Dino Riders stuff. They did release the first series of Dino Riders in Japan, but yeah,
cool.
I think, as with anywhere in the world, it's really limited and hard to come by. So yeah, I need to be pretty patient with the Dino Rider sort of stuff. So that's always on the top of my list of things to add. But apart from that, more Transformers. I probably need to slow down a bit in terms of my collecting, and my wife has said probably the best thing about me starting a YouTube channel is that I'm putting a lot more effort now into making videos and getting all those sorted out and spending all of my time online hunting and spending money on figures. So it has slowed down slightly. But yeah, I still have a lot of things that I'd like to add to the collection for sure. I've got one Sergeant Slaughter figure. It's the Hespro, of course. So
yes, I did see that one.
Yeah. So I would like to get I don't know, a couple more Sergeant Slaughters of various forms if possible.
Yeah, me too.
What number are you up to at the moment with your magical?
I need to do another tally, but I'm at I must be I think the last time I counted was about 350 something, 360 something. I'll need to go back and have a look. I had a tally sheet, but yeah, I'll have to go back and it would tally the specific figure that I had and how many of that one I had. And then a total number as well. And originally that tally was only including O-ring figures. I haven't added into that tally the WWE figures or my Hasbro's or Action Force. I haven't added the Action Force stuff to the tally yet, so it must be.
Yeah.
I mean, and the WWF Masters of the Universe one, which is cool. I like that. That was a good crossover.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I can't have all of them, but I want all of them. Like I don't have an LJN inspired Hasbro one yet. I have a feeling that may never happen. Yeah, but I can appreciate Ken's when he shows it off.
Yeah. Did you like Sergeant Slaughter from the get-go as a kid? Look, I was petrified of him watching WWF. He was the most intimidating, scary character. I found him more intimidating than any other character, and so I wasn't a fan. Like watching clips of him now, with Kelly on the Slaughter Daughter channel, he just comes across as such a nice guy. But as a kid, I was just terrified of stuff. Like, he was pretty.
Well, he plays the heel. He plays the heel character very well. And that was why he was able to get so much heat when he was the Iraqi sympathizer. But he started off pretty much as a heel before he went up against the Iron Sheik. I think the Iron Sheik is what that feud is what made him a face. But I wasn't familiar with him as a wrestler. I knew him as G.I. Joe first. So I think that the first episode of G.I. Joe that I got on VHS had the episode Ninja Holiday, and that was a pretty Sergeant Slaughter heavy episode. And then when G.I. Joe the movie came out and it said Sergeant Slaughter as Sergeant Slaughter, I was confused. I was like, why are they not just saying who it is? And then, eventually I found out that he was a wrestler. I saw some of his stuff, and I've just been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
But,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't. So I've always. I think it was.
I was very confused because I think. Sorry.
No, you go.
Sorry. I was always confused with Sarge because I think I remember seeing Sarge on the WWF before. You might have to correct me on the timeline here, but I remember seeing Sarge on the WWF before he joined the G.I. Joe. And I always had this sort of feeling that Sarge was a bad guy. And then when he went to G.I. Joe, he was on the good guy side. And that I always thought if Sarge went to G.I. Joe that he would be on the Cobra side, because I had this feeling was a goodie.
Well, they want to turn him into an American hero. Oh, he's breaking up now.
Yeah, sorry, Phil.
We lost you for a good 30 seconds there.
Yeah, sorry, Phil. You're breaking up a little bit there. You're
breaking up a little. Huh?
It's frozen again.
Oh, darn it. Unfortunate.
All right, is it working? Are you back?
Can you see me now?
I can see you. Yeah. There we are. The connection doesn't. It's you're a bit frozen, Phil.
You may have to log back out again.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Huh. He made some good points there about when did Sarge become a good guy versus a bad guy. But yeah, he was a good guy when he was fighting the Iron Sheik. That's where the whole boot camp match thing came from, right? Oh.
Right, but just because he was all American doesn't mean he was necessarily a good guy either. He just had the crowd behind him.
Yeah, but I don't think Sheik was the good guy in that one. So
no.
I remember back then someone had to be a good guy versus a bad guy. It was a completely yes or no kind of thing. Is it or isn't it? Yeah. Well, we might be having some struggles with him, but I don't know. He was on a pretty good roll there for a little while.
Yeah. We'll finish up in a second. As soon as Phil's back, we'll do an outro.
Phil is relatively new to the YouTube scene, right? So it's great to hear his perspective on this as well. Looks like he's kind of back, but not fully.
He's trying to figure it out. You'll get there, Phil. We believe in you.
You can do it.
Now he's upside down.
Now I wonder if he's just doing this on purpose. Almost like he's.
I should be upside down. I'm from the land down under. There he is. He's back.
All right. Cool.
I'm here.
Wait, is he? There we are. There you are. You there?
Okay.
All right.
All right. Outro.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. Bit messy.
That's all good.
Apologies.
So we'll. That's all good, Phil. Yeah, you look all right now.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So we'll finish up on what you were saying about Sergeant G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I was just sort of saying that as a kid I was very confused about which side Sarge was on. Like I think I do remember watching him before he joined G.I. Joe through the WWF as a sort of a bad guy. I'm not sure if he was or not. And then when he went to G.I. Joe, he was on the good guy side. I was expecting him to be maybe on the Cobra side or something like that. I think I was just so intimidated and of him as a youngin. He played the character so well, and he was just brilliant at it. Yeah,
I think when he went up against Sheik, that really put him into superstardom as the hero, the real American hero, and Hasbro could see that he was on the up and up and thought that he would be ideal to put into their line, which is pretty much what ended his WWF days for a long time. But all right, Phil, we'll leave it there. But let everyone know where they can find you.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's so you can find me on my channel, Treasures for Trigger. I've got a grand total of about 66 followers at the moment, so new subscribers are more than welcome. I've also got an Instagram account, Treasures for where I'm on Instagram as well. Yeah, you can catch me on either of those lines.
I'll give you a follow right now on Instagram.
Yeah, nice. I'll link your Instagram and I'll link your YouTube channel.
Nice one.
I'll link all that in the description of this video.
And just want to say I'm a huge fan of the Slaughterhouse show. I'd say I'm Japan's biggest fan, and I'm so much a fan. I actually this will sound a bit, but you guys were in a vivid dream of mine that I had a couple of weeks ago. I was watching a Slaughterhouse stream before I went to bed, and I had a dream, and Zazel, you were behind the barbecue cooking up a feed and sitting around the barbecue table, and Kelly talking toys and other things. So
Well, there you go.
Long time. Yeah. So thanks for having me on the show. Great.
Well, thanks, Phil. I appreciate being the man of your dreams. But yeah, thanks for being on the channel, Phil. I love your channel. I highly recommend it to everybody. Go check out Phil's collections. Go check out his adventures. Check out his adventures in Japan. It's a great channel. Highly recommended. Hopefully, you'll be gaining subscribers before you know it. But in its own right, it's a great channel and definitely deserves some recognition for sure. So thanks for being on, Phil. You're dismissed.
Dismissed.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment down below.